Welcome to the intake volunteer training for the Barbara Bush Foundation Adult Literacy XPRIZE app rollout. For the Adult Literacy XPRIZE app rollout, we are working to equip eligible adult learners with mobile literacy tools. To ensure that these tools are reaching the right individuals, we have to make sure they are eligible, which requires that the learner meet 4 criteria. They are age of 18 and above, they are native speakers of Spanish or English, have daily access to an Android device, and read English at a beginner or low intermediate level as determined by CASAS. Every participating learner will have taken or will take a literacy test to establish their current literacy level. After 1 year of using their new app, selected participants will be asked and incentivized to retake the test to determine any gains in literacy skills. One thing that is important to understand is which type of event you are supporting. There are 2 types of events, testing events and registration events. Testing events take approximately 2 hours, whereas registration events take approximately an hour. The major difference is that registration events don't involve testing learners. These pre-tested learners will be deemed eligible if their scores fall within an eligible range and they completed the test within the last 4 months. Here's another way to look at the process flow for the 2 different events. Notice how the testing step is completely absent for registration events. Each event type has a slightly different set of steps for the different volunteer roles, which help to maximize the event's process flow. An event day is likely to go through an entire cycle of an event, then reset and go through another cycle with a new group of learners. So keeping things on time is very important. Learners will only know these events as Adult Literacy XPRIZE or Adult Literacy XPRIZE app rollout. The distinction between testing and registration events is to differentiate the process flow for volunteers. To help ensure learners are following the correct steps, you will be providing the learners a printed ticket that looks sort of like this. The icons of the ticket correspond with other signage around the space and will assist learners in navigating from one step to another. You will mark the step you are supporting with a check mark before directing them to the next step. There is also a space to write a CASAS ID if it is provided by the site where the event is taking place. This will be filled in by the sign-in out volunteer when available and used by intake or coordinator proctor volunteers during an event. Thank you for your interest in volunteering as an intake volunteer. Your role is critical for a successful event. As an intake volunteer, you are largely responsible for connecting adult learners with various mobile apps to register learners, screen them for eligibility to participate in the program, and ultimately to provide eligible learners with one of the literacy apps they will receive as part of the program. As an intake volunteer, you should be comfortable navigating Android devices to adjust settings such as sound, check storage space, manage apps, and access Google Play Store. Because you will be supporting both English and Spanish native speakers and utilizing their personal devices, it is an ideal situation if you are bilingual. Now, let's take a look at your specific role as an intake volunteer. There should be at least a couple individuals assigned to this role, so together you can lead learners through this step with the backup support of other available volunteers. The main function of this role is helping learners download the relevant apps, providing instructions on their function and support on their usage. Part of this is guiding learners through the screener test questions for testing events and bypassing the screener test questions for registration events. Of course, we all know technology can be quirky and difficult at times, which can make this step particularly challenging. Let's dig a little deeper. After learners sign in and are screened for eligibility, they are directed to the intake area where you are located. Learners will be arriving throughout the 10 to 15 minute sign-in period, so we really want to capitalize on some of that time right away. As the learners arrive from sign-in, introduce yourself and your role. The intake volunteer role requires immediate trust. This introduction is particularly important for Spanish-speaking participants to know that there's bilingual support throughout the process. Use the provided scripts to help you through the intake step and the associated tasks. Ask to see the learner's ticket. It should show a mark over the sign-in icon to verify that they are eligible for the intake step. For testing events, the ID will not usually be available and you will need to use a generated ID from the Literacy Now app. During registration events, these learners have already taken the test and the facility will provide a CASAS ID. The sign-in volunteer will have written this on the ticket. Ask the learner for their Android device. Learners may have to unlock their devices before you can begin. Explain that the wireless network will prevent the learner from using their own data plans during the course of their time with you. Stand side by side with the learner so that they can see the screen while you work. Connection information for the wireless will be provided when you arrive. Some sites will not require passwords, while others might. There should only be individuals with Android devices at this point. But if for some reason they slip through being correctly screened in during sign-in, use the provided script to thank them and ask them to return to another event with an Android phone or tablet. After connecting to Wi-Fi, assist the learners in downloading the Literacy Now app from the Google Play Store. Use the provided script to help explain what the app is and why it's important. During this step, you may run into some issues such as lack of storage space on the device, or the learner being unsure of their Google account information, or possibly not even having an account. It should only take a few minutes to connect to the wireless and start the app download. If you're unable to quickly resolve the issue, then you'll want to ask them to wait as you assist others. This is the most challenging aspect of the intake step, due to the variety of Android devices and the requirement of having a Google account to download apps. This is also a significant bottleneck in the process. It is important that the 20 or 25 minutes allotted for this intake step still provides time to complete the other tasks. Open the app after it's downloaded and set the correct native language, the state, and then mute and skip the welcome and consent videos on the device. The videos will be played for the group via projector and speakers after the group introduction. If it's a small group, you may have learners play the videos on their devices instead. Here are screenshots of the Literacy Now app. If you have an Android device, you can go and download it from the Google Play Store to check it out for yourself. When you first launch the app, you will need to set the appropriate native language and state. The next screens are the welcome and consent videos, which can be watched as a group via projector. You will need to mute the welcome video and skip to the next screen. You will then mute and play the consent video. If it's a small group or no projector or speakers are available, you'll want to let learners watch and listen to the videos on their device. During testing events, learners will not yet have a CASAS ID assigned to them. In rare circumstances, there may be a number already written on the learner ticket. If this is the case, use that number. Otherwise, you will need to write this number on their learner ticket. Locate the menu icon in the upper left corner of the Literacy Now app. It will open a pop-out menu, which displays a generated CASAS ID, shown here as the XPRIZE ID. Write this number down on the learner ticket legibly. Return to the consent video screen and set the device face down. Ask the learner to leave the device in place until they're ready to receive further instruction. At about the 20 or 25 minute mark, welcome the group using the provided script in your intake station guide. After the introduction, play the welcome and consent videos for the group. This will inform them more about the program and make sure they wish to continue to participate. Should they wish to continue, they will select the Participate button in the Literacy Now app. After the group introduction, volunteers should assist each learner individually. No matter what type of event, you will need to select the Skip Screeners Admin button in the app. As soon as you bypass the screener, you need to input the admin passcode provided by your team leader. Note that each event site has a different admin passcode. After you input the code, you're asked if the learner has taken the CASAS test before. For all testing events, you will select no, the learners have not taken the test before. For all registration events, you will select yes, the learners have taken the test previously and the facility provided their CASAS IDs. For testing events, the learner will be moving on to take the CASAS test. The coordinator or proctor will select the Test Complete button after the test. Do not select it. For registration events, you will be prompted to enter the CASAS ID, which should be the number written on the learner ticket. Type this number in carefully. This number is critical to connecting the learner with their testing information, so that we are able to track their gains in literacy after using their new learning app over the next year. During a registration event, you will see an option to Install App. Select this and it will prompt you to download and install the new learning app automatically from the Google Play Store. Learners are randomly assigned different apps, so do not be surprised to assist with several different apps during this step. Make note of the name and be sure to show the learner where the app is on their phone so that they know how to find it. Once the new Learning app is installed, the Install App button will say Open App, and it will launch the newly installed app. The Literacy Now app will also be used to send occasional updates to learners. You're almost done. Now we just need to direct the learner to the next step. For a testing event, you'll direct eligible learners to the testing area, which is supported by the CASAS coordinator or proctor volunteer. Mark their ticket to indicate that the intake step is complete. You'll help them download their new Learning app after the test. Any ineligible learners, let's say someone who declines to participate or they were unable to have the Literacy Now app installed, should be dismissed. Collect their ticket from them and write the dismissal reason on the back. Provide this ticket to the sign-in out volunteer so that they can input this information into their tracking sheet. During registration event, you will have to input the admin passcode and CASAS ID. You will also be prompted to install their new Learning app. Once done, mark their ticket and direct them to sign out. For any ineligible learners, you will use the dismissal script and collect their ticket. For example, if you are unable to download and install the new Learning app, the learner is not considered eligible. If it's a testing event, learners won't receive their new Learning app until after they complete the test. You will need to access the Literacy Now app and follow the on-screen prompt to Install App, which will direct you to the Google Play Store. Again, the apps will vary from learner to learner as they are randomly assigned. Sign Out may also assist with this step, but you will be primarily responsible for all app installs and are the most equipped to do this after hands-on experience in the intake step. Sign Out volunteers will manage distributing the cash cards. When the event is complete, please assist in cleaning up the space or resetting it before the next group of learners arrive. Let's do a quick review. In your station guide, you'll find this key processes chart. For a testing event, you will check the learner's ticket before connecting them to the on-site wireless. You will then assist in downloading the Literacy Now app, configure its basic settings, skip the videos, and then write the generated ID on the learner's ticket. From there, you will do the group introduction and then play the welcome and consent videos. Each learner should select Participate in the Literacy Now app. You will then individually assist learners by selecting Skip Screeners Admin, input the admin passcode, select No in the app, mark off intake on the learner ticket, and then direct them to the CASAS testing area. After the learner completes the CASAS test, you will want to verify that the testing step is marked off on their ticket. You will then install their new Learning app from within the Literacy Now app. Once complete, they will follow the rest of the sign-out process and receive their cash card incentive. For a registration event, you will follow mostly the same steps to start. The learner ticket will already have a CASAS ID written on it. After you input the admin passcode, you will select Yes. Input the CASAS ID from the ticket, then follow the prompt to install the new Learning app. Once the app is installed, you will mark intake off the learner ticket and direct them to sign out. If for any reason learners are unable to complete the process, you should collect their ticket and write the dismissal reason on the back. Provide this ticket to the sign-in out volunteer to record. Thank you for reviewing the training. You will also be provided an on-site orientation by your team leader during the event. Be sure to check out the station guide and other materials in your training folder and fill out the training confirmation. If you have any questions or concerns about your role, please contact your team leader. We deeply appreciate your commitment to serving your community and helping low literate adults gain the skills they need to succeed.